listening to the Blue Jay Breakdown.
Welcome to the Blue Jay Breakdown. Anna Bellinghausen and Drake Keeler alongside with you today to talk some Creighton women's hoops. But first, let me tell you about the Omaha Supernovas. They play at home 5 p.m. on Sunday against Orlando. Awesome matchup coming up. Your Supernovas are coming off a win. They also play tonight, so maybe 2 wins in a row for Omaha. We'll see, but definitely get out to the CHI Health Center Omaha to witness some history and get your tickets at supernovas.com. Well, Drake, number 20 team in the country is doing pretty well right now. 10 wins in a row for the Blue Jays, all within conference. They're 20-3, 11-2, and in second place in the Big East. What's impressed you most, Drake?
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty much all you can ask for. They just keep on winning. 10 straight is difficult no matter the opponents, and they've had some good wins in there. Obviously, coming off the win against DePaul, that's a team that is, bottom 3 in the Big East, but they can challenge some teams for sure. And Creighton was not pushed very hard in that game. Started offensively, and I mean they've just looked really good as of late. And I'm really excited to see how they look in the next 2 games.
Yeah, Emma Ronsing just continued her amazing campaign, 29 points against DePaul, and she's 4th in Big East in scoring. 18.3 is just her average there. And then on the flip side, though, Morgan Molly held to 3 points. What did you see out of her and why she was so limited?
Yeah, I mean, she's kind of had some of those struggles this year. And obviously, I think you still just don't really worry about it because she can turn it on whenever and it'll happen eventually. But yeah, it's been a little bit tougher for her this season, just hitting those shots at same percentage. But because of that, it's been really good to see Emma Ronsing step up and just be as good as she's been. Obviously, she's had some in down performance here and there. They all have, but they've been able to make up for anyone who has a down game, especially on this 10-game winning streak.
Yeah, it's so impressive. If one person's having a bad day, it doesn't really matter because you got plenty of shooters. Also, we saw Kennedy Townsend have 10 points, and also the freshman Michaela Miller, I think she had 7. So you're seeing other contributions from the bench too, and I think that'll be key going as you get down the stretch in Big East play. Then, of course, for March, how beneficial can that bench be to these starters who are putting in so many minutes per game?
Yeah, it feels like Kennedy Townsend in particular is really getting more comfortable, and that's what they're looking for. That's what they need. This bench is not going to be super deep, but they need some production. If they're going to win a tournament game, when it gets to that point. So Kennedy Townsend, it's been really encouraging to see how she's coming along, and just that starting lineup just continues to improve. Mallory Brake had a great game just a few games ago. She's not going to be lighting it up offensively, but, she's going to contribute in how she can on that end for sure. Molly Mogensen had 6 points in the first quarter against DePaul, all inside the arc rather than, where she usually shooting threes. So Coach Jim Flaherty said he liked that post game. So that's the stuff you need to see from, the players outside those top 3 scorers.
Absolutely. Well, let's take a look ahead. So they've got St. John's on Friday at 6 p.m. That's at St. John's, and it's a really good defensive team. Not the best year for the Johnnies, but still it's a test in the Big East, and you can't take any games off. And, of course, going on the road also takes a toll. But what do you like out of this St. John's Creighton matchup?
Yeah, they've been all right. And Creighton I don't think they blew them out in the first matchup in Omaha. That's a St. John's team they can play for sure. They can really challenge some teams. And I think this is, you look at the 10-game winning streak, obviously the 2 toughest matchups. You look at that Marquette win, and then coming off of the 10, this is probably the next toughest game they have on the road at St. John's, of course, before facing UConn. But this is a place where they'll definitely be tested. So I'm really interested to see if they can take care of business, on the road against a good St. John's team.
Yeah, matchup definitely to look out for. Unique Drake. She's 3rd in scoring in the Big East at 19 points per game. And then, of course, Creighton's own Emma Ronsing 4th with 18.3. So it'll be interesting to see if both of them get going or they can figure out a defensive plan to stop either of those top scorers. But Speaking of scoring, of course, it's at Uconn. That's the big game for Creighton coming up to see how they match up. Obviously, a very disappointing matchup earlier this season at home and that blowout loss to Uconn. But these are two of the top offensive teams in the Big East. And I think you'll see a better showing from the Blue Jays. Drake, would you agree?
Yeah, you would hope so for sure. I think UConn's obviously a really good team, but Creighton being ranked number 20 in the country, they don't want to. They would not like to believe that they're 40 points worse than UConn, like they lost at home. They shouldn't lose by that margin again. But it's going to be a real challenge. They are capable of challenging this UConn team. They've been, against kind of the top tier opponents in college basketball. They played South Carolina, didn't stand much of a chance in that game. But they've run through the Big East so far. And Creighton's going to, try to provide that first challenge. And I think they're capable of doing it, but it's going to be difficult for sure.
Yeah, and I think the biggest question every team's faced with is how do you stop Paige Becker? It's averaging 20 points per game, and she got pretty much every shot she wanted when the Huskies and Blue Jays matched up last time.
Yeah, it is very hard to stop her, maybe impossible. She's had some rough games here and there as of late. She started the season just outstanding, making like every shot. But it's to win this game and to even be in it, you're probably going to need a lower point total from her. She put up 20 plus, I think, in the first matchup, was ridiculously efficient in that game. And you're going to have to find a way for that to not happen again. So I'm interested to see what they do defensively on her. Obviously, they got another good player in Aaliyah Edwards down low. So it's going to be tough to stop.
Absolutely. Well, plenty to look forward to with two huge Big East road games. You can follow at Drake Keeler for all your game updates and stories. Thanks so much for joining the Blue Jay Breakdown. We'll talk to you next time.
A Hurrdat Sports Network production.